7 in the morning here in the Ukraine. Kind of cold, but I'm really excited because I'm getting on that tour bus over there and I'm heading to Chernobyl today because it turns out you can do a day tour, and I figured this is a really rad way to see the Ukraine and just see something that's been on my bucket list for a long time. So I thought I'd also take you with me. Come with me. Gone through the first checkpoint to get in, which is behind me, and now the tour starts. We're in the exclusion zone, and I'll try and explain each stop as we go. That's a breed of Mongolian horse that's actually the only wild ones are here in the exclusion zone, and it's very unlikely that you see him. I don't know if you could see him on the video, but we saw 2, which is really exciting. But those are wild horses. They're also pretty vicious because they have to fight off bears and wolves, so we have to stay far away. But that's just like an exciting extra that you weren't even supposed to see. Yay! You can see these dogs running towards us, and there's a stack by the van as well because they get used to tourists feeding them, so they come and visit the van when it stops. There we go, okay. And that's specifically just a hot spot, eh?
Yes, it's in the soil. It's there inside. So these small radioactive particles, it creates this gamma rays, and this Geiger counter shows us if we start to dig, there is some strong radioactive particle creates this gamma rays. You see, and in the air it becomes smaller. Closer to the soil it becomes, so it shows us that here, if we start to dig, we will find that one. Could be washed from the building, could be brought from the station first years after accident, could be relocated with the wind in the summertime. So, but they're inside it.
That was an abandoned kindergarten that you just saw. I'm pretty sure that it wasn't abandoned with the dolls like that. I think someone set that up to sort of scare you. But now across that side is the sort of red forest where a bunch of the pine trees absorbed so much of the radiation that they've burnt from the inside and went red. They've been buried. Some of the other trees there still have like a red tinge to them because it's obviously in the soil. And now we're going to walk around Pripyat, which is the abandoned city right near the power station. city and you've seen schools, you've seen a hospital, you saw a building as well, which was the city center, a hotel. And there's so many stories about these buildings and the evacuation process. I think it was 47,000 people they had to get out of the city. But I also haven't spoken much in this vlog because I just feel like words don't do any of this justice. It's so creepy and a little bit like messes with your head. Also, I almost didn't know. I shouldn't be allowed outside. Pretty sure we're actually not allowed in those buildings, so. An abandoned amusement park. It's insane. Take a look.
Somewhere at this place 41 microsieverts per hour. And then I move few centimeters here and it will start to drop.
Behind me is the cover on the reactor that this whole accident started from. They've covered it with a big dome. So there used to be a sarcophagus over it. It's still there, and then they've now covered it with a dome because after a couple of years that sarcophagus was actually not working. It wasn't made to last, if you like. I'm gonna drop a link to a free documentary that Des, who casts on Overwatch with me, that he gave it to me. It's free to watch, and it actually explains how the engineering for that dome went about and why it needed to happen. So you can go and check it out. But yeah, we can't really get close. It's covered by a dome now, so that's about all you get to see of the actual nuclear reactor and where this entire incident happened. We've just stopped and had a sneaky lunch break at this canteen, which is the specific canteen for the power plant. And now we are going to a monument, and then we're also going to go to, I think it's a secret military base, because one of my friends also came on this tour and he mentioned that you go to this sort of, it's a military base that no one knew about. I think, I might be wrong, but it's kind of weird because the amount of time we spent at the actual nuclear reactor was like pretty much a fraction of the rest of the tour. If you're wondering, I was right. This is the KGB military base that no one actually knew existed. They were the first people to be evacuated after the accident. So they left all those people in the city, all the workers, and said that everything was fine, but evacuated these guys the morning after the accident. 2,000 to 3,000 people lived here in this military base. I think that the big thing here is that the government at the time told all the people in the city and who worked at the power plants that everything was fine and not to panic, but they were moving out the army the next day. If you're wondering, that big construction behind me is a Rader. It was set up by the KGB, but I think the understanding is if the Americans try to nuke them, they'd pick up the rockets before. But this was what this like secret military base was for. These were all hidden in the woods, and you can only see them when you get really close. It's kind of scary because I'll get closer in video. These are rusting, and at some point they're coming down, which is a scary thought. Look at the size of this construction behind me, the more I can't wrap my head around the fact that no one even knew it was here. They only discovered it after the evacuation, which just can't get my head around. But chatting to our guide, like she mentioned, during that time with the Soviet Union, when it came to the KGB, you didn't ask questions.
That's our plan. Mother Earth. In Ukraine they say it's round. I hope in all the rest of the world you also think it's round. And before, if you were sending signals somewhere to the sky, for example here, from the somewhere from here, for example, no, from here, it would go straight, and then it would disappear somewhere in universe because it couldn't repeat the shape of our planet. But later, one of the scientists found out that from different layers of our atmosphere, we have ionosphere. And if you send a special signal to ionosphere, it can reflect from it. So it would reflect, would go back to the Earth, from Earth would reflect back to ionosphere, from ionosphere back to the Earth, and then it would go in such a zigzag way as far as 10,000 kilometers, which was enough to reach the sky of states. And what were these signals searching for? In case if now USA sends some rocket like here in this place, maximum it will take 30 minutes until they are here. And first 5-6 minutes that's the active phase of missile. So it literally goes into the sky up and it burns its fuel. And this fuel leaves the special tray in the sky. So the signals were scanning sky for the burnt fuel. And in case if they would find something, the signal go back to receivers. From receivers information, they analyze it compared to satellites. And if everything confirmed, they send rockets back, open bottle of vodka and enjoy last 25 minutes on Earth, because in the end everyone is going to die. That was the plan. So let's hope, my friends, there are no crazy people have access to red button.
A monument that was actually made by firefighters to honor the firefighters and the workers who had to handle this accident when it happened. The government didn't want to take responsibility. They actually blamed the workers for most of it. So this was not sanctioned by government. It was actually completely made by the firefighters of Chernobyl. So we're in Chernobyl city. You've got to see as much behind the scenes as I could give you. I feel like I haven't done this place justice. It's definitely one of those bucket list things. So if you're ever in the UK, and you should check it out. I'll put a blog post up with all my pictures as well, and I'll drop a bunch of links in the description below of tours and documentaries and stuff that you can watch if you're more interested. But it's getting late, the sun is going down, and I think I've shown you enough, so I'm gonna say bye.